Good morning, everybody. How is everybody doing out there on YouTube and out there on X? Appreciate you guys for being here this morning. Remember, this isn't financial advice. Consult your own professional advisor. At the end of the day, I'm just a guy on the internet. A nice guy on the internet, but still a guy on the internet. Also, don't forget you can donate to the station at paypal.me/Max Convexity. Donations are always appreciated. Thank you very much. Let's get on with the show. Been watching CNBC this morning. Dow's up, but what that doesn't really count. The SPY and the Qs are down a little bit, but let's get in the middle of the charts and kind of see what's going on. On the daily chart, it still looks all right. I mean, but let's look at the 30-minute chart and kind of drill down on this thing here. All right, and I have to fix this a little bit. All right, let me take this thing off. Okay, there we have it. Fixed. That is fixed. Okay, so this is a 30-minute chart of S&P futures. It looks like we made the high right around the end of the day and maybe went a little bit higher 7-8 o'clock last night, but then since then have been selling off a little bit. We're within yesterday's trading range. We'll see what happens. Our next first down, that to keep this drive going, we'd want to get to this area right here. Well, we'll look at that on the SPY. But for now, the defense has looks like they sacked the quarterback, and it's 2nd and 15 now. Or they we threw a screen press and they tackled us for a loss. Looks like it's 2nd and 15. So let's see what happens. We got the first down yesterday, but yeah. We'll see what happens. The next first down is up here at 683. That would be the next area that I would think the Bulls want to take back. The Bears want to do whatever they can to push us back, but pushing us back all the way through the other side of the gap would be a win for them. And definitely if they could push us back on the other side of this trend line we just took back. So speaking of trend lines we just took back, let's look at Bitcoin. All right, well, I think we found the problem. And unfortunately, Bitcoin's been leading the market, and Bitcoin topped last night at 7 or 8 o'clock, something like that, and has also been selling off. And now Bitcoin, let's look at just a chart of Bitcoin during the day. We'll use IBIT for our. All right, so if you look at Bitcoin, they've already sold through the other side of their bullish gap. So a close on the other side, a close down here would definitely be bearish and a win for the Bears. But having said all that, the SPY's only down 1/3 of a point. But also, if you look at Bitcoin, it looks like maybe it could get worse. We'll see. We'll see. Dow's actually up. And now I'm trying to get a quote on the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is, we'll see in a second. The NASDAQ's actually down 3/4 of a point. Of course, it probably has more stuff related to Bitcoin in it. Yeah. So maybe I'll get a chance to buy something cheap today. I have a few more stocks on my list to buy. So speaking of my list to buy, let's just look at that and see how my portfolio is doing. All right. So here, this is sorted by current percentage. I mean, but let's sort it by daily change. And this is as of like 5 minutes ago. I just pulled the numbers off Tasty Trade and loaded it here. So the ones that I don't own are the ones that are doing well. Outside of YQQQ, which I have 12% of, it's up 0.5 point. So that's making me 6 basis points, 6.5 or something basis points, or it's adding to the basis points. But unfortunately, I have blocks too that's killing me today. All right, so TLTW is up a little bit. K-Silv, I have a little bit of. It's up. Cash is flat. That darn cash never moves. All right. So then on the bad list, we have K Gold down by a little bit. We have QLDY down by 0.6, YMAX down by 0.6, GDXY down by 0.6, Feet down by 0.7, Misty's down. The ones that I own, Alti's down 1.5, GPTY is down 1.7, K Yield is down 1.8. WPay is down 1.8. Alti's true to its form. It protects capital pretty well on the downside. You can see these are some other good funds that are down a little bit more. BITK, LFGY, and then of course LFGY is down 2.6. But Blocks is just getting murdered today. Well, all right. So let's look at it this way. Let's look at the diversified divas spreadsheet. Well, actually, let's do it this way. Let's look at it this way. Okay, here's the diversified divas. All right, so this is price change only. They always say AI is going to take over the world. They made me this chart. This chart doesn't do anything for me. I need to tell them just to stop making it. You can't look at price change on these things. Okay, but total returns, this does tell you something. And so this is as of this morning. This is as of, today. Things are down, so it's changed from yesterday. Alt I is leading on the way down 12.78. Blocks is down 10.3. LFGY is down 9. ULTY is down 6.68. And then K Yield, WPay, and GPTY are actually holding up pretty well. And then Chippy, Chippy's doing well as usual. But look at QLDY. QLDY is doing really well, only down a little bit more than the NASDAQ. And of course, the SPYs are the best look on that list. All right, so there's that. Let's look at the terrific trio and to see what they've got themselves into. All right, so first we'll start with Blocks. This one's the one that's down the most. Down 5. Average stock is down 4.3. That's par for the course with this one. It's kind of the way the lightning spread works. For instance, when we go to Alta, you watch, it's going to be down less than this average stock, way less, of course. It does a great job protecting capital. It's down about a third of its underlying stock. Anyway, back to Blocks. Blocks does a better job on the way up, of course, a way better job on the way up than just about anything, but everything they have is down. They're getting shut out right now. Unfortunately, LFGY is a mess too. Let's check out LFGY. Yeah, LFGY doesn't protect capital as well as ULTY, but it's doing a better job protecting capital than Blocks. But nonetheless, their average stock is down 3.7. This thing's down 2.5. We have I saw the CoreWeave missed today. Is CoreWeave in here? I don't see it in this one. I don't think it's in Blocks. No. Yeah, it is in Blocks. Darn it. Now it's their smallest allocation. To be fair, but that's definitely not helping things. I guess they missed earnings. All right, so now we'll look at Alti, the protecting capital one, down 1.6. It's down about more than a third. It's down somewhat less than half of the underlying. Almost a lot more than that. 1.6 times 3 is 4.8. Yeah, so it's not quite down. It's not quite that big of a difference. It's not down 2/3 less, but close. All right. Well, what's going on here? These guys are getting shut out too. Well, with the exception of Rocket Lab, and they have a decent size allocation of Rocket Lab. It's one of their. It's a decent sized position. Anyway, everything's down today. All right. We need the market to bounce. Dow's still up, but we just need, it's the same old story it's been for the past 2 weeks. We need Bitcoin to go up. Bitcoin's not going up. It's leading the market around. All right, so ULTI, those are their positions, but this sheet doesn't. Well, let's see if it works. Well, I don't know what happened to that one. Maybe it's here. No, those are their weightings. Well, anyway, Let's see. Did K Yield have any core weave? No, I just checked right there. They don't have any core weave. Okay, well that's good. Let's look over. I guess we could look over ULTI stock positions. And did these guys have core weave? No, they don't. But anyway, all right. So that's that. Let's look over here at the index buffer report and see what we can find out there. All right. Boy, that's ugly. I mean, we've already looked at a lot of these, but blocks and SEPI. Blocks up in LFGY. It's that crypto. It's crypto's fault. Chippy's not doing much better, but it's doing a little better, and so's WPay, for that matter. And Alti's doing better than all of those even. Now Alti's about the same as WPay, and Chippy for that matter. I guess the one that's doing better than all of those is FEPI. Good job, FEPI. Great job, FEPI, as a matter of fact. So this breaks the feed and 5E doctrine, because it's usually feed and 5E that are up the most or down the most. I guess this one feed was down the most today. So actually it doesn't. It doesn't. It's usually down a lot more than that. Salty's having a great day. Of course, Salty's probably short core weave. I bet you're short those types of stocks. So, all right, there's that. Here's the yield max buffer report. AIYY taking it on the chin, but showing buffer. You know, I'm disappointed NVIDIA's down, but it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's only down about 2/3. You know, that's good. That's really good. Better than SMCI, which is down about 80% of the parent. Bobo's showing a lot of buffer today. AMD's catching about 2/3, about what we'd expect. Coney's catching AMD maybe 70%. Coney looks like maybe about 2/3. But on the upside, there are some going up today. PP's going up. Zomo's going up. And look at this. Infly's catching more than all the parents upside. That's great to see. Let's see what else is going on here. Murney. Well, go Murney. Murney's a wreck. All right. Apley. Let's see. Apley is actually doing pretty well comparatively. All right. So what else do we need to talk about? What else have I missed talking about? I always forget. Lots of times I forget. Sometimes when I talk to you, it reminds me of something to talk about. Hey, Greg. Hey, Marcus. Yeah, people do tend to forget the S&P 500. So the S&P 500 is only 30 stocks. And, but I mean, it's concentrated. So it oftentimes will do a lot better or a lot worse, but also it's different kinds of stocks. I mean, but yeah, people do tend to forget about it. The other day, the Dow when we were dropping last week, there were days the Dow was doing a lot better than the other indexes. The Russell's a good one to look at. It's down 0.5 point. Dow's up 1/3 of a point. S&P's down 1/3 of a point. And it looks like last time I checked, Jackson, please don't bark. Last time I checked, yeah, NASDAQ was down. Now it's down 88 bips. So it's almost down a full point. Probably going that way, unless Bitcoin turns around, unfortunately. Give us a budget for what? I'm not following. Are you reacting to the news or anyway? Hey, Mayor, how are you doing? All right. Mayor gave me a lot of ETFs to put in the max factor last night, and they're CEFs actually, closed-end funds, and there's some good ones in there, and I added all of them. So one day we'll have a daily factor show, and we'll line all the CEFs up against each other. I appreciate that. Also, another person on Twitter said, "What about COYY?" Well, COYY wasn't old enough to be in the max factor, but it just recently turned 3 months old, so it is now in there. Had we been comparing it last night? I don't know, because last night was Misty and Coney Monday, so sorry we missed that. Hey, Leon, thank you so much for being here. All right, so let's do this. Let's do this over here. Let's go to stocktools.app. Now let's go to their dashboard. That's a better way to do it than me looking at the screen. I should just start with this. Yeah, SPY down a third of a point. Q's down more than that. IWM. I mean, it's good news that IWM isn't cratering. And there's the old Dow's up a little bit. So let's look at the sector performance heat map. It's all about energy and healthcare today, consumer staples and materials. Those are a lot of the stocks that are in the S&P or that are in the Dow, I bet. I bet if you looked, I used to know who was always in it, but I guarantee you that there's some big consumer staples in the Dow, that those kinds of stocks. I bet they have, I know they have some big pharma or big healthcare, and they probably have Exxon or something, I would imagine. Anyway, what's great to see when the Dow's as blue chip as you get. It's just a different kind of blue chip because it's an older index. All right. Well, on the weak side though is tech, and that explains why my portfolio not doing great today. But also industrial and consumer discretionary also getting hurt. Then we have real estate, financial communications, kind of in the middle of the road here. So we've already looked at some of the ETFs I follow, but let's just look at all the ETFs right now and see, because I may have missed some. I just follow the ones I like, mainly, WPay, Alt-I, Alt-Y, K-Yield, but there's a lot more to the universe than that. I know that a lot of you guys like single stock ETFs. So let's take a look. What's the matter, Jackson? Why are you looking at me like that? All right, so let's just see what we have going on here. This is a great tool. Friend of the channel, Rob is the developer, and I have an affiliate code, stocktools.app/Max. You get something on there, I think a free month or something if you sign up with that. And you also can get it 2 weeks without even putting down a credit card. So, but then if you use my affiliate code, you get extra time, I believe. All right, so look at this. The things that are up, I'm not going to include the inverses. They're up, obviously, market's down. All right, well, look at this. AAPW from Round Hill. Great job. Speaking of what's in the Dow, Apple's in the Dow. Anyway, I'm sure it's in the Dow. Home Depot's in the Dow, things like that, just blue chip, it's blue chip kids. Anyway, great job, Apple. Exxon's in the Dow. I'm not sure, but I would really bet it is. Now, Airbnb is not in the Dow, and it's up, so that's good. And it's underperforming its parent a little bit, whatever. Here's PP doing well. PayPal's its parent company. We have Dizzo also doing well. Aptly from Yilmax doing well. AAPY doing well. AAPY. Who's AAPY from? Is that Granite Shares? I ought to know that. I'm just drawing a blank. Probably Granite Shares, but anyway. Then we have Murni. I really should know that. Anyway, then we have Murni, of course, doing well. TLTI doing well. I'm starting to wish I had some of this. I had TLTW, but I sold all of it. Maybe I should have kept a little bit or switched it out for TLTI. And, Neos does a great job. Neos does a good job. And I don't know if I have any Neos, but I probably need to get some. I was talking with somebody on X today, and I'll show you that in a second. We'll go look at that. But somebody that was making suggestions for my portfolio, and they suggested FEPI, which is a good one. Which is definitely a good one. I've always liked it, but I had a chance to buy something like FEPI, and I bought GPTY instead. But it's same stocks. GPTY has better NAV return. Its NAV's up more on a percentage basis and on a dollar basis than FEPI over the time period that I had it. Its NAV's up more percentage and dollars. And what else? it pays a higher yield. It pays about 30% higher yield, and it had better total return. So I definitely think I made the right choice. No disrespect to FEPI, but let me just show you that really quick. Let me just show you that. No disrespect to FEPI at all. I like FEPI. Looks like the computer's kind of freezing up. I need to come check the comments. I'll come check the comments after here and see if you guys can hear me and see me, or see if there's something going on. Yeah, maybe I just got lucky on this one. Who knows? I've definitely got unlucky on some. I bought Feet the day it came out, and I sold that about 4 months later. So, I mean, that wasn't unlucky. It's just a bad decision. But anyway, let's compare these two at the time I bought it. So I bought it on Liberation Day. I bought GPTY on Liberation Day. It would have been a good time to buy anything. But let's just run FEPI and GPTY, and I'll show you how when I'm now that goes from January. It even beats it even worse going that far. But let's do it like this, because I didn't own it. I didn't own GPTY in January, but this is a good look for GPTY. Look, GPTY's NAV went from 37 to 47, where FEPI went from 39 to 48. So it beat it on dollars. It beat it on, and the dividends are actually, about 40% more. And the total return is more. GPTY is a heck of a good stock, because I'm not comparing it to a dog. I'm comparing it to FEPI from Neos. Anyway, so let's go back here. JEPI, some of the usual suspects, the steadier ones are doing well today. Devo, I probably need to look against some iDevo. I mean, I know that's a good one also. It's on my list. KQQ's on my list. I posted my portfolio, and I've been getting a lot of good suggestions on Twitter, and I appreciate all the good suggestions. Anyway, okay. I guess we could also look at who's beating the parent the most. I mean, just for fun. It's probably going to be okay, it's going to be an inverse, but other than the inverse, look at this, NVYY. Wow. That's really impressive. NVYY, that's from Granite Shares. PLYY, also NVYY from Granite Shares, PLYY from Granite Shares, beating the parent. MS2 doing a great job from Rex, beating the parent. Is Misty beating the parent? Yeah, Misty's beating the parent. IBIT's not really. Well, I guess IBIT is Misty's parent, or is it Mr.? I don't know. It could be either one. I think I told Rob to switch it to IBIT, but it could also be Mr. But basically, they're just a Bitcoin treasury company. I think IBIT's a fair comparison. Anyway, we can see there's some that are showing some good performance. On a down day, though, cover calls are supposed to show good performance. Like Tony, for instance, is down a little bit less. Even old MST is down less than IBIT, and that's double leverage. So good job. CLM is a good one, and it's beating its parent, which would be the SPY, or not really its parent, but its closest benchmark. I conflate parent and benchmark, but I think if you guys have been watching me long enough, you know what I mean. I'm not trying to, all right. So what is going on here? So there's Mayor. Mayor's watching from the beautiful state of Israel. Appreciate that, Mayor. Good thing about CEFs is most of it, yes. And so you have lots of data to compare them with. That is correct. That is a great thing about CEFs. CEFs, absolutely. All right. Does K-Yield have option chains? Because I'm from the EU and I can't have access to US-based ETFs directly. Interesting. Okay, you're from the EU. Interesting. Well, let's look and see if K-Yield has option chains. I don't really know. But let's go to Option Strat. We'll even see if anything looks good in there. Oh, I just forgot. I bought puts yesterday. I wonder how my puts are looking. I was feeling stupid, and I bought them early in the day. I bet I'm still underwater, but I'm just, until Bitcoin recovers, I'm just not sold on this market. But anyway, I digress. Let's keep our eye on the ball. Let's see if we could do a cover call on Well, okay, it was a K yield or QLDY. It was probably too new. Yeah, that one's going to be. I almost bet that. I bet anything that one's too new, but I'll punch it in here just to see. I was thinking QLDY, and that would be interesting too. QLDY is a heck of a good fund. I mean, and we can look at the QLDY sheet. Well, actually, I don't think I updated yet today. No, it doesn't look like K yield does, but now I'm got distracted on QLDY. Let's see if it does, and it doesn't either. Okay, well, let's see. Let's see how much my puts are underwater. Okay, well, so here's the good news. They're up $27. The bad news is I also bought some the other day right there, Mac, and they're down $79. So I'm down $50. I bought some on Friday when I'm trying to sell the RIP. Not a huge amount. I just think that it's, I'm just not fully sold on this yet. We'll see. These right here expire. Let's take a look at them. These expire Friday. And and that has to drop. I need a drop of 2 or 3%, depending on when it happens. If it happens by, when is that? If it happens by Thursday, to double my money or to make my money back, or to double my money, because it's an option. I mean, you're trying to make multiples. So I need a 3.5% move down. I would be surprised. I mean, it could definitely happen. It could definitely happen. It may not, but it's whatever. But then let's look at the other one. So then I added to the short. Now I punched this in wrong. I did a bear put spread. I was trying to load it based on my tasty trade. I was trying to load my actual fills in here to show it, and I clicked on the wrong thing. I'm sorry. Anyway, so I'm probably not even up on that one either. I'll check later. All right. So there we have that. We looked at the terrible trio. I worked late into the night last night, and then I got up at 5:30 and I couldn't sleep. And so I worked for another hour updating this Alti-NAV prediction. What I'm going to do, I'm just trying to make sure it's accurate. So I've just looked at 1 year chunks, but now I'm going through and I'm pulling out quarters. I'll look at 3-month periods of time. Rolling 3-month period. So, January to March, January, February, March, and then February to April. And then, so it'll give me more data looking at quarters, and then I'm going to verify the numbers. But you guys have seen this basically, basically it looks like even in a good market, Alti's going to lose 50 to 60% of its NAV, even in a market that's up 20% or whatever on the Qs. And if God forbid, if the Qs were down, it'd be a lot worse. So it's definitely a bullish bet, definitely a risky stock, but it pays a really high yield. I did well in it, but whatever. I mean, I was disappointed with the dividend today, but the price is going down. The dividend will go down also. It's just the way it works. But every time I get a dividend, I have my cost basis is like 2 something. So every time I get a dividend, it goes down a little bit. But of course, the NAV's going down too. So I'm trying to hope that my cost basis goes to 0 before the NAV catches up with it. We shall see. But we need a rally in Bitcoin. I mean, we need a rally in Bitcoin. So look at this. Just for everything. And I know Alti de-Bitcoinified, but still, it's still. Look at this. Okay, so let's look at IBIT and let's look at ULTY and let's go. Let's see. I think we'll go from like mid-July to now. Okay, so IBIT, a lot of Alti stocks, and for that matter, a lot of these other ETFs that I have are heavily invested in Bitcoin. So like Blocks, for instance, Blocks is a great ETF that does great on the way up, but you watch how great it's going to be whenever this turns around and goes up, if it does. And same thing with Alt-Y. But in any event, let's go see if I would have bought IBIT the same day I bought Alti. I bought Alt Y last December 12th or something, 13th, I think, something like that. And let's just go see how that looks. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty highly correlated to Bitcoin. I mean, you can see it there. It has capped upside, so of course it doesn't do quite as well on the upside. But it's when Bitcoin goes up, it will go up too. Bitcoin quit going up for now. So in any event, all right. All right, so you run the numbers, so you sold out of Alti and Alt Y in the pre-market. Yeah, you say you were going to do that yesterday, also Redfish, and plus, don't you just have to have it through today to get so you actually get the dividend, even though it's small, you'll still get it right if you sell today, because today's deck day and tomorrow is X day. So yeah, so it would be a good time. In fact, I'm looking to sell 3% of it. I want to do it at a higher price though. I'm trying to, wait for an update. Maybe I should have done it yesterday, but I thought we might get a little follow through from yesterday. But who knows? Maybe we won't. All right, World Travel Ventures. It's not going to help ULTI. Bitcoin's been in a bull market all year. Alt Y has actually continued to drop. Yeah, see, the thing is, though, that's not the case. It hasn't been. Alt Y peaked in July. And so did Alt Y peaked in July, and so did Bitcoin. And so if you actually look since July, Bitcoin's down more than Alt Y. Bitcoin hasn't been in a bear market all year. Bitcoin's been in a bull market. Bitcoin has definitely been in a bull market since April. From April to July, absolutely. I mean, April to mid-July, yeah, 100%. And, that's why I'm saying when Bitcoin goes back into a bull market, so will Alt Y, in my opinion. It's you guys do you. I mean, I'm not, remember, not financial advice. In fact, this is a good time to put the banner back on the screen. Remember, I'm just a guy on the internet. And like I say, just because it worked out for me doesn't mean that, it's going to work out for everybody. I have different goals and different things. And also remember, I have different, I'm not trying to live off it. Like I've said before, if you're trying to live off it, I would recommend it. Speaking of Alt Y, and those we're talking about it, it's down 6.5% right now. Or no, I'm sorry, not percent, 6.5 cents, which just by coincidence is about the same thing as the dividend. Now, the dividend didn't come out yet. It's just been declared. It comes out tomorrow. So tomorrow I'll add it back into the price. But yeah, I get it. I definitely get it. All right. You would look at a BTC chart, not IBIT. All right. Well, we could do that. I don't think that this is for dividend comparisons, and I don't think they have a BTC chart. But a lot of the reason I use IBIT is a lot of these funds. Forget about Alti for a second. I get you, but IBIT is the instrument these guys like YBIT use to do Bitcoin. So like, I think this is a fair comparison. You can do IBIT or YBIT to IBIT over the same period of time, because that's literally, what they're selling. I mean, they're selling options on IBIT. But yeah, you can see, but from April to July, absolutely. July to now, not so much. Now YBIT has protected capital a little bit better because of the income, but yes, it's still down. Even when you drip it. In fact, when you drip it, it's down a little bit worse. Well, actually, no, it's slightly, but well, no, it is worse because up here is drip. Yeah. Because you're compounding losses. Now that's just since July, but since July, that's a tough comparison but the reason I picked that date, because it's also the day that Alt Y topped out. And it's it's also the day Alt Y topped out, but I get your point. Let's look at Bitcoin on Coinbase. You just can't trade Bitcoin directly on Coinbase, but let's look at it though. I'm always willing to learn and consider all alternatives. Gosh, I hope we don't lose this freaking trend line. And have we? Well, no, we're right at it. Anyway, so Okay, so Bitcoin since July, I was using July 13th or something. That's when alt Y tapped out. There's July, maybe it's July 15th. So you could see, yeah, Bitcoin actually did do it. It did make a couple of more peaks, but they were bull traps, right? And if you go since July on Bitcoin, we're 123 to 103. We're down 20 points on something that cost 123. That's just short of being in a bear market. 20% is a bear market. Basically, if we lose the trend line, and then if we lose much more, then we're an official bear market, which also coincides with the trend line. The way some other people look at a bear market, you can also define a bear market, in my opinion. It's kind of subjective, but when you're under the 200-day moving average, which is what this bottom line is, that's also a bear market. So let's and just to prove that point, let's go see like the SPY. Whenever it dropped under the 200-day moving average in April, we were in a bear market, and I mean, and we weren't even down 20%. Maybe from high to low, we were 606 to. We might have been down 20% at the worst, but luckily it didn't turn into an extended bear market. And I'm not saying Bitcoin's in an extended bear market right now, but it's right where it's in an area where if it doesn't recover, but yeah, like I said, I'm glad that you guys sold Alt Y. There's too many people that had it. And I was seeing, lots of bad advice on the internet about, well, if it can just hold its price, then it'll be good. Well, it's not going to hold its price. I mean, it's NAV price. It may be good anyway, but yeah. Nearly every Bitcoin fund outperforms. Why? Okay, YBit may have been a bad example. I was just trying to think of one. Let's do YBTC. All right, YBTC. YBTC to IBIT. Let's do what's another? What about XBooty? XBTY. Now that's a bad example because that one's one that people really aren't happy with, but it doesn't look much worse than all the others. I mean, in that time frame, these things aren't magic. IBIT's down 11%. They get part of their upside from option premium, and they, that's why they do a little bit better sometimes on the way down. But they are also exposed to the upside and the downside. And as you guys know, they catch in a covered call fund. You might get 50% of the upside, but 70% of the downside, and that's the reason for the underperformance over time. But I think that if it's just math, alt Y will go up if Bitcoin goes up. But if Bitcoin, so especially if just think if Bitcoin makes a new high. But anyway, all right. YBTC's gone downhill too, but slightly better. Yeah, I was trying to think of other ones out there. BITK, the one I bought's too new. So anyway, everyone sold Alt Y, and that's good. There's way too many people in it. I've sold Alt Y and YMAX at the beginning of October for tax efficiency, and even I did. I sold it on the highs just to raise a little cash. The honest reason I sold this because I needed money to buy K yield, and I think K yield's better than Alt Y. I was hoping that Alt I would look good. So far, Alt I looks a little suspect, but yeah, I wanted to raise some capital to lock in those profits. That's, I mean, I wanted to lock in profits, and I also wanted to get to diversify a little bit more. Let's see here. Oh my. I mean, I could test it against HODL maybe. HODL's an ETF that does Bitcoin. Yeah, so I mean that that HODL's a good one. I think it just holds Bitcoin futures. Anyway. All right, if you compare the total returns of round hill funds versus underlying, they're almost the same. So interesting. Okay, now round hill uses a little bit of leverage, but yeah, let's look at that. So I need to make a chart, just kind of like I have the diversified divas where I have all the funds I like charted out. Maybe I need to make a chart of all the round hill funds, maybe against maybe the same thing as the diversified divas, but compare the round hill funds to the Granite Share, to the Rex, to the Yield Max, to the Curve, and do something like that. I think I might do that. I need to pay more attention to round hill. I'm really been happy with WPay. It's doing a great job. But let's look at Well, let's just look at WPay. It hasn't been out that long, but let's look at WPay versus YMAX. But yeah, on the delta of 20, I get your question. I don't know on the answer to your question on the delta of 20. Let me think about that. All right, you got a general question. If you compare total return round hill funds versus the underlying, they're almost the same. If they're almost the same, the delta should be like 100 or whatever. The reason like yield, for instance, Yield Max, they have a delta of like 60 or 70 on the upside, meaning they catch 60 or 70% of the upside. If you're saying, hey, these round hill funds are, pretty much the same as the underlying, that means their delta would be higher. Their delta would be more like 90 or something. And that would make, or even 100, or even, they even might have a little extra delta on the upside because they add 20% leverage. That gives you 20% leverage. Well, yeah, that's if you don't include the dividends. You have to include the dividends, but yeah, that's definitely true if you look at the NAV for sure. Round Hill may be the best. Yeah, Round Hill's really good. Don't sleep on NEOs. Don't sleep on Rex. I love my WPay, but I really think the Rex fund of funds might even be better than WPay. We'll see. I think WPay is an improvement on YMAX, and YMAX was the best diversified fund around a year ago, but WPay, is definitely doing better lately, no doubt. But what do you want to bet that if they put Rex out? And I don't know. It may not. But Rex is going to be. I think Rex is going to be a good one. What about this? What about if you had a fund of funds of Curve? You kind of do with KQQQ, but they have some good single stock funds, So anyway, I don't know if Rex even has plans to bring it out, to bring out a fund of funds. But man, I'd be excited about that if the Rex single stocks keep up with the underlying. So yeah, well, they keep up about as. That's why we have the max factor. We look at the max factor every night, and traditionally, but I look at more than just keeping up with the parent. These things, but I look at the risk and the reward and the yield and how bad the yield crushes the NAV. You don't want a yield that's so high that it crushes the NAV, generally speaking, if you have better choices. Well, but yeah, I would say it's a strong bet they do. And I don't know if they strictly keep up, but they're doing a really good job staying close to it. Okay, what's the delta for the yield boost ones? Those are Granite shares. I think that's on a fund by fund basis. We could look at I'm trying to think. There's all kinds of different ways to look at it. Let's do this. I'm trying to think of a way to illustrate what I'm showing. Okay. We have some of them in here, but let's select none, and let's select the Round Hill weekly pays and the Rex. And we'll forget about Yield Max for now, or actually Rex growth and income. Round Hill weekly pays 15. There's only 4 pairs of these and 15 of those. Oh, but then the question was about Granite shares yield boost. Let's just throw it in. I think it might be more interesting to look at beta rather than delta. Delta is an option measurement of the sensitivity of the stock to how much upside it gets. So if you sell covered calls and you'll get less than all the upside. So that's what I'm talking about. Now, Granite Shares sells put spreads, but a put spread's a synthetic collar, which has it's all the same thing. But let's just look at the beta. I think it's more interesting to study the beta. But for now, we're going to look at this, and then let's look at the beta. Let's just see how these have done on a 1 month basis. And this is Rex, Granite Shares, and I forget the other one, Rex, Granite Shares, and Round Hill, of course. Okay, so we'll line it up by best one. So look, GOW, beating Google, AMZW beating AMZ. Now remember, this is because they have leverage. They'll do worse on the way down, but whatever. It's been a good month for a lot of these. Apple beating the parent. Well, we can just line it up by beating the parent. These are the ones that beat the parent the hardest. Okay, look, that's a good look for Granite shares, SMYY from Granite shares. Great job. Now it's because it's down less than the parent, so it's a little bit like kissing your cousin or something, I mean, but anyway, TS2, here's a legit one, from Rex, beating the parent. Heck yes. GOW from Round Hill, beating the parent. Great job. AAPW Round Hill. Here's another one from Granite shares, beating the parent, but it's on the way down. Still at least expedient. AMZW beating the parent. Y-Spy beating the parent. MS2, beating the parent from Rex again. CO2 beating the parent. Good job. Here's a Round Hill one. It's all about Round Hill. Can you see why I'm excited about it? I don't like single stocks, but once Round Hill made a fund of funds, I bought it as soon as I could. I do the same thing with Rex. I think this would be good. Here's another one from Granite shares. I guess though, to really compare them, let's do this. I guess we do have to throw in throw in some Yomax, but I doubt they'll be high on the list. Maybe on the ones that are down, they beat the parent and down, but I doubt any of them will do as well on the way up as Rex and whatever. All right, so we'll just line it up by beating the parent. Okay, we have the inverse ones. Okay, whatever. Murney, that's because it's down less. Now Misty beating the parent once again, it's down less. Tesla beating the parent in an up market. That's a good look. So it's not like the Yield Max ones can't get more, but now this is just over the past month. So, but you can see by and large, and you also have Morrow, but that's on a down one. AIYY on a down stock. Robley on a down stock. Anyway, you guys get the idea. Okay, so let's look at this. I think maybe a better way to think of it instead of Delta. Delta is a way to study the option positions. If these funds do the same thing every day, if they buy a stock and sell an at the money call, we could easily figure out what the delta is on that. It's about a delta, not very much, 60 or something. And if they do the same thing every day, we could say this one has a delta of 60. A lot of these do all kinds of different things and stuff. So it might be better to look at, portfolio visualizer, and beta is another measurement, but it deals with the same type thing, and correlation and beta, and you can tell some stuff by this. So we're going to put let's see, we'll put SPY, let's put, I'm trying to think on here. Let's put SPY, let's put WPay, let's put YMAX, let's put let's just start with those right now and see what that tells us. And talk about beta a little bit. Beta is how it trades compared to the parent. And this is a correlation, actually. This isn't okay. Well, this is correlation. So you can see, but the ones with higher correlation I think they're better funds. And WPay has a little bit higher correlation than YMAX, 89 to 87. And that would make sense to me because they have a little bit of leverage. The market's been bullish. This is only going back to 120 trading days. WPay just hasn't been around that long to see. But on single stocks, though, let's look at Tesla versus Tesla versus TSLP versus TSLW. See what we have here. All right. Of course, Tesla is perfectly correlated with itself. Tesla's a 98, TSLP's a 98, and TSLW is a 1. That's impressive. I mean, that's really impressive. That's saying it's perfectly correlated with the parent. I mean, that's really impressive. But correlations are one way to look at it, for sure. All right. What is going on here? Okay. Yeah, but it looks like the Rex funds are, can you see it? I can't wait for the Rex funds to come out. Okay. Oh, yes. Sorry, by Delta, I meant the usual covered call funds. I got you. a lot of people talk about delta and they use delta to show you how far out of the money they sell the options. So a fund that sells options really far out of the money, they'll sell like a 10 delta option. Okay. And if you have the stock is 100 deltas because it's stock. And then if you sell way far out of the money, there's one that does this, iSpy, and they sell like a 10 delta on a daily basis. Well, so their net delta for the fund is 100 minus 10, so 90, and that means they do great in that market. A lot of these funds sell more like the 30 or even the 40, and I'm looking at you, Yield Max. They sell closer to the money to get maximum yield. So if you do something like that, you have 100 shares, 100 deltas for the long stock, but then you have a minus 40, so you just end up getting about 60. And if you sell a 30, sometimes they sell 30 delta, you get about a 70. But that's why people generically, it's true to say, hey, covered calls get 60 to 70% of the upside, and almost all the downside, or they get, it's not really almost all, but they get a slight buffer, but they get most of the downside, a lot more than the upside. And that's why they lag over time for sure. Compare Amplify. I don't know if we have Amplify in there. Biddy and Baggy. Well, let's look at Biddy and Baggy. So we'd have to compare, we'd have to use IBIT for underline, because that's a good example. Biddy and Baggy, don't they literally sell? A lot of these sell IBIT. That's why I'm using it for an underline for a benchmark. Maxi sells IBIT options, don't they? A lot of these guys do. All right, so Biddy and Baggy. Well, as far as correlation goes, they're highly correlated. They almost move 1-to-1 with the parent. If you're somebody like me and you don't want so much correlation, I like the little bit lower correlation ones. I'd probably like Baggy more. Baggy has a lower correlation because guess what? It pays a 3% yield where Biddy pays a 2% yield. The yield's a tax on the upside. So Biddy, of course, follows IBIT a little better, Now Baggy, not so much, or, Baggy, not as much. But yeah, correlations can be interesting to study. Let's do SPY versus Alt-I versus, Alt-Y versus, what's a good one competitor for Alt-Y? It has to have been around for a while to be significant in here. Well, let's just see what this says. It'll probably be pretty low. Yeah. And I like low correlation because I'm looking for diversification. And you can also see this number right here is just what it's been over the past 120 days. This is a chart of it. And for a while, Alti was not as correlated to the SPY, but then it went up and it peaked out in correlation right around the time it peaked out in price. And then lately the correlations have been crashing, meaning becoming less correlated. In other words, it's not tracking the underlying as well. Sometimes not tracking the underlying can be a blessing, just depends. All right, so World Travel Ventures, what do? You load it up on Biddy, YTH, SEPI. What do you think about BITK? Am I crazy for getting that one? It doesn't have very much data, so I can't pull up a chart. I like the idea that they're selling options only during the day and they're uncapped at night. But heck yeah, SEPI, good job. Good job. SEPI's a good one. SEPI's a good one. I watch it all the time, and I've always been SEPI curious. I just haven't pulled the trigger. All right. Tap Alpha funds are still printing. Yeah, good. I'm glad. I didn't have any data to go by. I just like their strategy. To be fair, I like the strategy in FEAT, FEAT. It seemed really good. They're going to move in and out of the 5 yield max funds that are hottest at any given time using technical analysis. Okay, it's data. I can understand that. It's great. Well, it's worked out terribly. It took me 4 months. I bought it, and then I was watching it, and it worked out terribly for me, and I sold it. That's what I'm saying. If Alt-Y is not working out for you guys, dump it. And a lot of you guys have, but it won't hurt my feelings. Granny Income. Okay, have you guys heard about this? Tom Lee's fund. That's a Granny Shot fund. I think they buy really fundamentally sound companies but also moonshot companies. Whatever. Tom Lee's a good guy. I don't know I think they're fundamentally sound and have a chance to be a moonshot. Well, they're getting ready to update they're getting ready to bring out that fund, but they're going to sell options on it and pay a little yield. I think that could be interesting. I'm always like the ones that were the active management where they're like picking stocks to sell options on, like K-Yield, like Alt-Y, and I like that. I just like that concept. yeah, fun strats coming out with more soon. I'm really excited about Quantify. This is what I was going to say. You read my mind, DGen4 Plays. Yeah, we're going to have the Quantify guy on next week or maybe the week after. His name's David, and he's coming out with a product called Income Stack. And right now he has Bitcoin GD. The only reason I don't have Bitcoin GD is because it doesn't pay a yield. And I in my income portfolio, I want yielding stuff. So I told him I'll probably get something like that the day it comes out. I mean, I'm really excited about Income Stack, and I think that he knows I'm excited about it because he was on Rod's show. I was on Rod's show because then he actually hit me up. I would have hit him up eventually too, but he hit me up and said, "Hey, I can come on your show if you want." I said, "Heck yes, I want. Let's do it today." And he said, "I'm busy, but we'll do it. How about next week?" And I said, "Heck yes, absolutely." Yeah, fun strat income ETFs. Yeah, I knew what you mean, Marcus. I don't know enough about Bitcoin, BITK to say, yeah, me either. They paid they're the ones that paid like a 300% dividend their first time. But it settled down. I think they declared a dividend yesterday and it's like at a 58% rate, something like that. Yeah, we'll see. You got some good ones in there, World Travel Venture. I mean, it's hard to go wrong with SEPI and YETH and stuff. It's really hard to go wrong. So you just noticed you have positive NAV on winter. I'll be darned. Well, that sucks. That's not a good thing to notice because a lot of people like me, and well, I don't have very much, but a lot of people have Misty, or Mr. or MSTW or whatever. Man, it's just been a tough go of it. Yeah, Mr. is doing freaking awful. Let's look at a chart of Mr. Come on, Mr. What are you doing to us? MSTR. I mean, you want to talk about bear markets, the definition of a bear market. So it has to drop more than 80 points to be in a bear market. So by that definition, it was in a bear market 340, 360, which is also right about the point it crossed under the 200-day. So yeah, I mean, here's what I do. When the SPY crossed under the 200-day or the day before it did, I could tell it was going to because of lots of things. I bought an inverse at that point and held it until the coast was clear. I mean, and what else I did is I took off some of my bullish positions. Nothing good happens under the 200-day. Nothing good, just from a technical perspective, that's just a great way to differentiate bull markets from bear markets. So it's been above it was under the 200-day back here in, 2023 and a little bit again. Yeah, in October of 2023, then it went above the 200-day. It was been under the 50 a couple times. So the online's the 200-day, and it stayed above. So that would have got you long at 46. But if you'd been following this method, the 200-day, and then you'd either need to hedge or do something different at 355. You don't want to maybe die by the day it goes under, but maybe when it's under a week, it's just not a good look for any ETF to be under the 200-day. I wonder if ULTY is under the 200-day. We'll see. No, not quite, but it's approaching it. But that's not a great look. There's AIYY. I just don't get this stock, this one's under the 200-day and has been for a while, but let's look. I guess its parent is C3AI. And it lost the 200-day in February, really never recovered. I mean, a little bit, but then let's look at a good example. Let's look at NVDA. I mean, so NVDA lost the 200-day in April, just like everything did. It gained it back here. If you waited for it to be above it a week, you would have got long at 120 or something. Because, on just one day, if you buy after one day, then you have to sell the next day. Sometimes you can get whipsawed. So you have to have some kind of, or use your own judgment. I think pretty much everyone knew once the tariffs were canceled, it would be good. It should be good. But in any event, yeah, this one would have got you long at 123. And you'd be chilling up here at 191. A lot of people use moving averages. Okay, when it's above the 200-day, that's just generally bullish. And then whenever they get a pullback, to the 50-day or to the 20-day or whatever, they look at buying the dip. That would have worked out pretty well on this one. You got to pull back to the 50-day. You could have added a little bit of 171. Then it went up, made a new high, and then you got to pull back. You add a little bit 180. and you got a chance the other day to do it. I mean, that's the way some people, you know, when you trade trend or momentum, you know, you could use the 200-day for your filter, bearish, bullish, good or bad, and then you can use shorter time frames to try to adjust your position within that. So, yes, there is an inverse, Mister. It's winter. Yeah, blocks is, oh my God, I love blocks. I love blocks. World Travel Adventures. I mean, blocks is incredible. Blocks is absolutely killing it. I love the management. You know, I love everything about blocks. Let's go look at blocks versus its 200-day. Okay, well, they don't have a 200-day because they haven't been around long enough, but it's above its 50-day, which is really good. It lost its 50-day, but if it had a 200-day, it'd probably be, you know, it's just. But let's look at IBIT. I know you don't like IBIT. I mean, let's look at BTC. I mean, I guess we've already looked at BTC. I mean, yeah. If you count the being under the week, I mean, you wouldn't have got short here because it wasn't. But then it was under 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, it. You know, it's pretty much. I mean, this thing. Not that it can't bounce, but right now, to me, that meets the definition of a bear market. So, you know, I mean, it's going to be a problem for the funds that trade these types of stocks, and I'm including blocks in that as well. But that's why I keep saying if Bitcoin will go up, it will help blocks. You know, it'll help anything that LFGY. Or let's actually look at. But blocks hasn't been doing great. You know, blocks is pulling back too. Let's look at LFGY. Okay, is there no 200-day on this? That kind of surprises me. Has this not been out 200 days? February, March, April, May. There's 200 trading days, so no, it has to be out about a year because there's 220 trading days, and it's, you know, in any event. You know what might be interesting is let's look at the correlation between the Qs and blocks and LFGY, and then we'll check out the correlation between IBIT and those also. Or we can look at HODL on this thing. Some of them just won't let this thing doesn't let you look at Bitcoin itself. All right. So blocks, that's only about 70% correlated because the Qs have stuff that's not Bitcoin related. They have banks and stuff. So, you know, let's check out IBIT versus blocks versus, well, not SPY, blocks versus we'll do SEPI too. We have World Travel Adventures that has a little SEPI. Let's see how these things correlate with each other. All right, so blocks has a 78% correlation. Blocks is the most highly correlated. So that's, you know, it's going to move the most in line with it. Or in other words, 78% of blocks movement is accounted for by IBIT's movement. You know, it moves the same direction and magnitude 78% of the time by this statistic. LFGY is a little less correlated, and SEPI is even a little less correlated. But I'm telling you, less correlation is good. It can be good. That means probably SEPI's a little bit better in a down market. Let's see. And I'll prove that to you. Let's look at. Obviously, Bitcoin topped out in July, or, you know, Alti did. I mean, Bitcoin pretty much did. It made a few new highs, but let's run SEPI from July to now, and let's run it against LFGY. I know you aren't a big Yilmax fan, and that's fine, but this will validate why you aren't. I would imagine when I click, SEPI's going to do better. I would say, I don't know, maybe not. Let's just see. All right, I messed up the dates there, but that's interesting to look at too. That's a great look for SEPI. I mean, hard to go wrong with SEPI, but let me get the dates right. Actually, LFGY will probably win because it's a down market. No, they didn't even win in the down market. That's a great look for SEPI right there. Let's compare SEPI to blocks. I mean, SEPI's incredible. Let's look at SEPI compared to blocks. Now, you know, blocks, remember, it had more correlation, meaning it was riskier compared to, and I think that's what I was trying to show. SEPI's more steady. It still follows IBIT and follows the cues in a little bit steadier fashion. I love talking about this stuff. I'm glad you guys asked me these questions. I heard World Travel Adventures that they de-Bitcoinified, that they're going to do no more than, for a while they had almost all Bitcoin and people griped about it. But so they de-Bitcoinified. But still, when I'm looking at what to use for a benchmark, we'll just use HODL. Well, let's look at HODL versus Alt-Y versus SEP-I. When I'm looking at what to use for a benchmark, this is telling me that, hey, actually, HODL's not a great benchmark for ULTY. It's only 58% correlated. So let's see if Qs are a better benchmark for those. Yeah. So it's probably more accurate to look at, because Alti has some Bitcoin stuff and some tech stuff. And we can see by running the correlations that it's more correlated to tech. And for that matter, SEPI is too. A lot of Bitcoin and tech are the same. What's Palantir? What about NVIDIA? Is it a Bitcoin company or a tech company? It's a little both. What about Rigetti Computers? It's quantum computing. It's a tech company, but what do they use quantum computers for? So it's very incestuous relationship. But yeah, how many? Anyway, what are you saying 100% on? Do you agree with me? Really, any of the spot Bitcoins will work. I just rather go, yeah, of course. Remember, I'm 59 years old. I'm too old for Bitcoin. I'm a stock and option guy. So I love having Bitcoin exposure, but the closest I'm going to get is blocks, BLOX. So we disagree on some things, but I bet you and I agree on probably 60% of stuff. But anyway, and I'm always open to, you guys make a good case for some things. I see stuff and I'm always open to change my mind. Oh, you're a crypto DJ? Now kick ass. All right. Well, nothing wrong with that. All right. Now here's Myron. Now Myron and I don't agree on a whole lot of stuff either, but we're buddies. We email each other. We can all still be friends, right? Yeah, unfortunately, it is the only game in town. And the guys at Yilmax are frustrated because no one buys those either. They thought they'd be, people like me were begging for them to bring them out, because I just thought, tactically, and I have some. I have 15, 20% or 12% in the inverse. But when I've interviewed the guys from Yilmax in the time since, they say, you guys always talk about how you want to beat these, but no one really bought them. They're also kind of frustrated about like Big Y. They brought out the Target 12 funds to help with the NAV, and no one really bought those. And I know a lot of people say, well, hey, fix the ones you got. Don't bring out new ones. And I get that. But at the same time, they're getting a disconnect from what the consumer base is telling them, because they're ones that have the issues and that a lot of people don't like, have been growing and, have taken off, where the one, when they do try to correct it, it doesn't look like people are selling those to get the other ones. But I get it. I'm not trying to get in a fight about Yilmax. Yeah, no, we're all good. You're 57. Okay, well, maybe it's not too old for me, World Travel. Maybe there's still a chance. I do have a wallet with some altcoins in it, and I want to get one of those buy me a sandwich, just if nothing else, like you can buy me a coffee, and I can put my wallet on there, and then if people want to, if people want to donate or whatever. But speaking of that, I appreciate all that. I've been getting a lot of super chats lately, and I appreciate them. But also, don't forget, I'm not publicizing my PayPal enough. PayPal gets to me instantly, where super chats take a month. Anyway, but no, I think we had a good conversation, and I have a friend, probably my second, remind me of my best friend of the past 5 years, definitely my best friend. He is is a gigantic Trumper, and I'm a conservative, but I'm not a Trumper. And we go back and forth. We fight all the time. But at the end of the day, I always tell him, and this is true, and he says, yeah, you're right. We agree on like 90% of the issues. It's just the little details we butt heads on. And I've listened to him, and he's influenced me. And sometimes he'll say something, and then like 3 months later, I'll go, you were right about that. So yeah, I'm always learning too. But maybe there's not. Maybe there's still hope for me at 59. Maybe maybe I need to buy a couple of Bitcoin or something. But me, I I thought it was too high at 50, and I thought it was too high at 60, and I thought it was too high at 70. I'm always looking for deals, So anyway, I guess that's just my own problem, though, right? Remember, guys, it's not financial advice. Consult your professional investor. At the end of the day, I'm just a guy on the internet. But I'll take more questions. I just want to make sure to get my disclaimers in and get my PayPal in. Yes, heck yes, crypto's the future. And so stocks, I think what else is the future for me, for a stock guy, if crypto's the future and I'm not going to buy any Bitcoin because it's too high, what can I buy? I can buy Rigetti compute. I can get quantum computing. I can get, companies like Blocks. I could go buy HODL would be fine. I could buy YBTC, YETH. I could buy ULTY. I could buy LFGY. I could buy SEPI. And I really might buy some SEPI. That's something I didn't realize how well SEPI had done until we started comparing them. I knew it was a good ETF, but okay, let me try to make sure I've got all the questions here. Why is the Alti thing so volatile? This is a lightning spread. Okay, yes. Well, okay, what else do we have to judge by lightning spreads? We have Blocks and we have QLDY. So that's actually a great question. We're actually, and we have Blocks, we have QLDY. It's probably not going to have enough data. Well, Alt-I is not going to have enough data. I'm trying to think of a way to show this. Let's just show so here's the thing. Here's a better way to show it. Let's just look at the trade. Let's just look at their typical Alt-I position. Right here. Okay, so here's the problem with the lightning spread. The lightning spread, if you drop past the lower strike, you get a little extra downside compared to stock. I do it all the time where I put another line on there that's stock, and the stock line is always a little bit above once it's past this thing. So the reason Alt-I is so volatile is because it came out at the wrong time, and it's just had down days basically. And yes, they do lightning spreads, but no, lightning spreads actually, the good thing about them is they increase the upside, but the payoff is they actually add a little bit to the downside. It's kind of the opposite of a conventional covered call. Now, the good news is Blocks has started, or not Blocks, ULTI has started mixing in some of these trades where they have this formation. But that doesn't totally stop you from losing money. It just stops you from, losing too much money. So I would just say that the ones that are, here's what causes volatility. Investing in high volatility stocks. Blocks does that. Alt-I does that. Here's what exacerbates volatility on the downside anyway. Or it's on the upside too, because they get a lot of upside. But here's what exacerbates volatility. Lightning spreads. The Blocks does that. And Alt-I does that. So that's two strikes against him. So it's, not that it can't be a good fund. A lot of you guys like Blocks. I think Alt-I should be similar to Blocks in as far as volatility goes. And that's why I'm also doing the max factor to show that stable dex. My stable dex is an index that compares the relative volatility of these funds to the market. And Blocks and LFGY for the lightning spread ones always have a lower stable dex, meaning they're less stable. I think that's just part of the deal with the lightning spread. And that's why I only have, I wouldn't put 100% of my portfolio on Blocks. Let's line up my allocations. I have 14% though. Just think about how that's hurting me today. It's down 5% and I get 14% of 5%. So that's 1.5 points. Is that right? No. It's 75 basis points. This position right here is causing my high yield portfolio to lose 0.75 right now. And overall, it's down like 1.4. I checked before I came on. So half of my loss today is because of this, is because of Blocks. A lot of people tell me I'm crazy for investing in Alt-Y. Yeah, maybe so. But if anything, why don't people ever tell me I'm crazy for investing in Blocks? Because lots of days I feel crazier for investing in Blocks, like today. But, Alt-Y is down less than 1/3 of what Blocks is. But you guys know the answer to that question. But in any event, But even my inverse, I'm losing faith on the inverse. Really, if you want to talk about something, I like the concept of them and stuff, but when the market goes up, they're just a drag on your portfolio. And this is 12% of my portfolio. And yes, it really helps when the market goes down. And I kicked this up to like 30% when we lost the 200-day. But maybe in the future, that's all I'll do. Maybe I'm thinking about getting rid of this and just putting a real stable fund in there, something maybe from Quantify. Quantify is coming out with an income stack that does T-bills and gold. And when that comes out, I'll probably drop this one and put the T-bills in gold, and that will have hedging abilities also. But then if the market's going down, in a tactical thing, just owning this for a month or two, 20 or 30% for a month or two, because I did it because I didn't want to sell all my other funds, but I wanted to stop the bleeding. And this thing worked really well. But, it's killing me on the way up. So if anything, I'm feeling crazy just right now about having this thing. That needs to go. The cash balance is too high, or at 14%, but that's fine. I'm going to spend it. Alt Y is too high. I just want a max of 15. So next time we get an update, I should have done it yesterday. I'm going to take that down to 15. When I take that down to 15, I'll boost K yield up to 15. So then I'll have 15 on Alt Y, 15 on blocks, 15 on K yield. And then on WPay, I don't have enough of that, but it has leverage. So what I'm probably going to do, and Alt I is kind of wild also. I'll probably take WPay to 7.5 and put Alt I in at 7.5. And then I'll have a good mix between those two funds. And that will kind of be my lineup. And then I have these other ones down here. So I think I have a pretty good lineup, but yeah, I'm not totally happy with it either. And I've been appreciating all the advice I've been getting off the internet. Hey, Eric, what are you doing here? I appreciate you. You just got here. Yeah, you can watch it. We went over a lot of stuff today, correlation analysis, delta. We went over all kinds of stuff. It's been a good one today. I can't believe yesterday I literally talked all day because I was on with Rod from 3 hours. Then I did an hour in the afternoon and then an hour at night. I don't know. It seems like I talked all day, but it was 5 hours. Yeah, the Tom Levy. Are you talking about his latest video? I think I've seen that. And he was saying he's really bullish on Ether. And he likes Bitcoin still, but he says Ether's the future. Absolutely. No, I saw that too. And so I actually thought about getting some YETH or something. I'm kind of interested in ETHI from Defiance. It's new, but it has leverage plus it pays an income. But in any event, I thought about getting something like that. Then I thought, no, I have Blocks. Blocks has enough of that kind of stuff because Blocks has Bitmine immersion. They have ETH. And then there's those other funds I have also have exposure. So I don't know if I'm going to add ETH. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, Tom Lee said that's the future. I hear you on that one. Yeah, but it is. But if you want to look at it on a comparison purpose, I mean, it's doing worse than the other ones that are also doing bad. It's only a week and a half. They haven't paid a dividend. Depending on what kind of dividend they pay, that'll add a little bit back into the NAV. I still don't think it's going to save it, but let's hold our judgment until we see what kind of dividend they pay. But yes, that one has been. I just think that one's just built for upside. It just needs, kind of like if you look, I guarantee you, if you would have brought out Blocks the same day Alt I came out, it would have been doing. Everyone would have thought Blocks was a mess. I think. So Eric is here late. Yeah, rewatch it. You're adding more Blocks once it goes below your cost basis. Didn't you get some the other day at a lower, like last week? Heck yeah, that's awesome. Okay, Max, if you add more BTC or ETH, yeah, reduce the block exposure. Exactly. And reduce the ULTY exposure. There's a lot of stuff indirectly related in there. You're right. If I got it directly, I would cut ULTY to 10% and blocks to 10%. And then get some directly. Yeah, no, that's a great idea. I just don't want to overload. I don't want to overload on that stuff, but I'm definitely cool with having it. I am definitely cool with having it. I need to get a little banner. You can put like a video on here that runs before the show. and I'm going to make a little 10-second video that shows a disclaimer or something. And it's right here under media assets. And then I can slap it in, and I can even have it. Anyway, you can do all kinds of stuff with this. I need to start taking advantage of this more. All right. You'd love to add some more BMEU, but you already have a large CCU up. Is it U up? What is CCU up? I should know. I used to know. Well, let's just look at it really quick, and then I might put it in. Or you guys are going to tell me. I'm guessing it's related to I don't know. CCU up. Upstart, it's a leveraged upstart, right? Yeah. So you don't. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I hear you on that. And anyway, hopefully that comes back. Yeah. So you like ETTY? Let's look at that. TTY, and we're going to compare it to ETHI. Just one I've been curious about. It's double leveraged Ethereum, but it pays a yield. It's a covered. They sell calls or puts or something. Yeah. So ETHY doesn't look like it pays anything. This one's paid this one's going to pay about $10. It looks like maybe, and it costs 17. Of course, it's at 10 right now to buy it, but. Anyway, yeah, so this ETHI, at the rate it's going, it's going to pay a lot, but the NAV is a mess. But let's see if the NAV of Ethereum, let me compare this. I keep talking about that Bitcoin topped out in January, in July. Let's just check ETH or ETHA, because it has to be an ETF. And we'll look, okay, ETHA versus IBIT. And see if Ethereum's led on the way down. I think it has, but according to Tom Lee, it should lead back on the way up also. Yeah. Hopefully Ethereum will. I mean, Tom Lee's good. If he says it, you can take it to the bank. ETTY will pay 3%. Okay, so it's going to pay a little bit. Really, I don't know why we're talking about any of these. The best one out here is Stretch. I mean, if you want an income and stable NAV, Stretch is just killing it. Stretch is killing it. I mean, it's incredible. Yeah, you'll load at 20 on that one. Oh, 3% a month. Okay. It just hasn't paid yet. Perfect. Okay. Well, then when it pays, we'll start looking at it. I'm kind of curious about ETTY. Let's go to here. What day is it? Is it Tuesday? It's just Tuesday, right? Yeah. Tomorrow I have a meeting and an online X Spaces with Ambassador. I'm going to be a guest on there. I'm going to get asked a few questions. But we're going to be talking to Ole Howard. So tune into that. ETTY, or is it ETY? No, there it is. Oh, it's Amplify. Okay. So it's a sister or a brother fund to Baggy. One of them pays 3% a month, which is Baggy, and then there's Biddy. I wonder if ETTY has a smaller version, an Ethereum 2% monthly option. Anyway, heck yeah. So how's this doing so far? 3 million AUM. Not bad. Not bad at all. It needs to grow. Yeah, it starts this month. Okay, we'll keep an eye on that. That's definitely going to go on the max factor when it gets old enough, for sure. In fact, I think I have it on the list to be put in. SOLM is another 3% monthly, but it's Solana. Okay, well, yeah, that one just came out the other day. I think I heard about that one. You've been loading up on ETTY while ETH has been pulling back. Heck yeah. Hopefully that's gonna pay off handsomely. Okay, I was wrong about CC up. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. It's double leverage circle. Okay, thanks for the correction on that. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything here. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but it's doing bad. It's struggling compared to the other funds. I mean, when you're down more than blocks, that's all I'm saying. I mean, that's kind of a benchmark for, I mean, blocks is like having a Tesla Model S with the highest, it does 0 to 60 in or I don't know, maybe that's a bad example. It's like having a freaking, Bugatti Veyron or something that can go 0-60 in 3 flat, but it can also stop like that. I mean, it's going to be fast to go, fast to stop. Heck yes, in Tom Lee we trust. Political agendas aside, okay, I like talking politics here just a little bit. It is turning out to be, well, for you, I mean, I'd be better if the politicians would pump Bitcoin a little bit, and they will. All the Bitcoin bros are Trump's buddies and stuff. I think Bitcoin will be all right. I'm watching that 200-day. Surely it's going to recover the 200-day. I really think that. Trump's a capitalist and he likes higher stock prices, and he's doing all he can. And so, but yes, the politics being kind of crazy has kept volatility up. So, in volatility being up is kind of a generally decent environment for cover calls. I would agree with you guys on that for sure. And Froggy's in the house. What are you doing, Froggy? Where have you been? I didn't recall giving you the day off. I thought you were going to be here this morning. You haven't even been here yet. What are you doing? Froggy's killing us. And Froggy's one of my mods too. Oh my gosh. Well, luckily Marcus has had the mod duty handled, so everything's good. I'm just joking, Froggy. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. Yes, when we get the government open back up, and yes, I agree with that 100%. That yes, 100%, and then Bitcoin will recover, go to all-time highs. Yes, absolutely. That's absolutely 100%. I agree with that. Plus, interest rates are coming down gradually, not as fast as they should, maybe, but I'm saying, and if they, Trump, I've heard if Powell doesn't lower in December, he's for sure gone. Trump is going to put in Besant or one of his guys, and they'll lower interest rates, which I don't know about the long-term effects of that, but in the short term, it ought to be bullish as heck, right? So, yeah, 'tis the season. 'Tis absolutely the season. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to get out of here. It's been a good talk. I appreciate it. Remember, not financial advice. Consult a professional advisor. I am just a guy on the internet. But like I say, I hope you guys enjoy the show. Don't forget, you can donate at paypal.me, Max Convexity. And you can also, I need to put a banner in here for stocktools.app. I'll do it next time. And that stocktools.app is actually a great tool as well. Okay, so the plan for today is I'm going to go fix this I'm going to go fix this snap predictor, and I'll have more data. And I'm going to get this future value calculator built, but I'll be back at 4 and 5 your time, and we'll see what happened with the rest of the day, and we'll go from there. Let's take one more quick look at the market, see if the market's cratering. Nvidia's down 3%. That's no good. Let's just look at SPX. That doesn't look that bad. It's only down 11 basis points. I know it's a daily chart. We're still within the previous day's range. Come on. Maybe by the end of the day, we'll be up. And one thing I haven't showed yet is the VIX divided by VIX, and then I really will let you go, unless there's an emergency question in the comments. The bar is green and going the right direction. When the ratio is going up, generally it's better news for the market, but still, in the grand scheme of things, both lines are red. When both lines are red, like they were back in March and April, and they started being red here, it's a warning signal. They started being red in October, and October wasn't a great month. We had a big sell-off there, but then we rallied and made a new high, and then we had another decent-sized sell-off. Anyway, so caution's still the key here. So we'll see what happens. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. Jackson's getting ready to bark. I probably ought to get out of here. I'm going to make sure there's not an emergency comment. All right. See you, Max. You guys have a great day. It's been a good talk. I'll talk to you later.